In real Power BI projects, the hardest part isn't fixing data problems, it's finding them quickly. In this lesson, you'll learn how to use Power Query to detect issues like blanks, inconsistent values, duplicates, and formatting errors using tools like column profiling and distribution so you can clean and prepare large data sets efficiently. Let's dive in.
Okay, welcome back. So the file that I've sent you, I'm just going to open it up. Okay, so here you go, open the file up and just observe the data set. And you'll realize that
Sorry, Ali, do we also open the file?
so you don't have to open the file, just have a look at the file on my screen. Eventually, we are going to import this within Power BI. So just have a look, observe some of the data set issues within the file so we can start to transform it. So what are some of the things you see here?
Format of the tag is
Right?
seems to be
You
weird.
don't really need the time, that's true. And then you can also see some blanks, right? These are your leading and lagging spaces. You can see some spelling mistakes or data inconsistencies, as we can say. We have a spelling error, we have a missing space, we have this special character, we have an acronym for Melbourne, we have an acronym for New York City. And the
Same for
bigger
retail.
and this and exactly and same problems you can see for retailer type, correct? Extra characters, missing space, spaces, extra spaces. What is this? Shift and tab. When you press shift and tab in Excel, it gives you a line break. Now, line break is not a space. It creates carriage return. It creates a invisible character. So direct marketing with a space and without direct marketing with a line break and without a line break is not the same thing. And then you have acronyms. I want you to notice that there is no consistent pattern to the problem, right? Then you have some of these NAs. So now that we are aware of some of the problems, let's import the data set within Power BI and we will fix the problems within Power BI itself. So I'm going to close the file. If you have opened it, just close it. Now the data source is Excel. Click on Get Data and you see some of the common data sources here, Excel workbook, and then you also have an Excel workbook here. So either you can click. So I click on Excel workbook. I will go to my files. I will click on sales, click on the data set, and I will do transform. Transform. Just give me a thumbs up if you have been able to successfully import and go into this transform Power Query editor part. So that's really the step number one. I have done the extract and I've done the extract and now I will do the transform. Remember when we were going through the initial phase, initial overview of the data cycle, I mentioned something. Finding the problem quickly is a big challenge. Once you know a problem exists, it's very easy to solve it within Power Query Editor. But what are some of the tools within Power Query Editor that will allow you to find the problems quickly? So we will start to explore some of the tools very shortly now. So let's go back. Okay. Now the first thing that you can keep an eye on is this little line here. See this line? And then you have this blank. This gap in the line indicates missing values. Now you might not be able to see it here. So scroll down, this and this. That's a great feature. Another thing to understand about Power Query is how many rows will it import in Power Query? Is this the complete data set or not?
Probably not. I think there is a limitation in Power Query.
What is that limitation?
I think it does only 1 million. It can carry only 1 million rows or
See
something like
this?
that.
Do you see this
Right.
this message?
Yep.
This is based on 1,000 rows. By default, Power Query imports 1,000 rows, right? And on demand, you can actually have access to more rows, but initially it only shows you first 1,000 rows. Why? Only first 1,000 rows.
Space.
Speed, right? If you
Yep.
have 10 million rows and if the every data transformation step will take like 5 minutes to process. So it says, okay, what I'll do is I'll give you first 1,000 rows, and first 1,000 rows will be a good sample which will show you most of the data problems with a very high probability, correct? And when I show you first 1,000 rows, I get the speed, right? I can actually do the processing a lot more quickly. But at the same time, what I compromise on is access to the complete data set. So it's a trade-off, speed and versus complete data access. And if you think about this in Excel, when you're performing data transformation, it is very slow because every step takes a lot of time to process because it has to do the processing on the complete data set. I also want you to start thinking about Power Query a little more differently from this point on. Power Query editor, right? That's the application we are in. It's a part of Power BI desktop. See, this is Power Query editor. Power Query editor does not actually clean the data. No data cleaning actually happens here. It only helps us to write the query, right? Every step that we perform, that's what we do in Power Query Editor. It only helps us to write the query and provides us the sample data to understand the output of the query. That's really the intent of Power Query Editor. When does the real data transformation happen? When you click here. When you actually click close and apply, it closes Power Query Editor and then applies the steps or applies the script. That's when the script runs. That's when the actual data gets transformed and loaded within Power BI Desktop. And if you have a really big data set, it might actually take 20 minutes. And for people who are new to Power BI, that's not abnormal. If you have like 50 million rows, when you click close and apply, the steps actually run on the complete data set. That's when the data cleaning and the data transformation and the heavy lifting is happening. And then the data gets loaded within Power BI Desktop, right? In Power Query Editor, we are only generating the query so we can automate the data cleaning process. And it just gives you a sample of first 1,000 rows so you can kind of imagine what the data would look like after the transformation. Okay. Now, what happens if these nulls, right? These blanks are after first 1,000 rows. If they're after first 1,000 rows, it means I'm not going to see this blank, right? It will not indicate that there is a problem in the data set, which is a problem. Now I cannot find it, and I might just have to rely on luck that eventually I'm going to find these missing values and fix it. So there is an excellent option that you should be aware of, which is when I click here, click on this part. And given you have the right version of Power BI, you can perform the column profiling on the complete data set. Okay. So column profiling is this part. And there are a few other features within column profiling. It gives you some important statistical metrics on the top of a column to help you understand the data quality and errors and missing values and whatnot. But the actual number of rows which are imported are 1,000. So you can understand a problem exists without actually seeing the problem, if that makes sense. Okay, so now column profiling is based on the complete data set. How can I fix? How can I remove? Um, how can I remove these nulls? When I right click on a row, as you can see, I cannot just randomly remove this 263rd row from the data set because I have to create a logic. When I randomly remove a row, I cannot create a logic. So how can I remove the row? I can click on this icon, which looks like a filter in Excel, but this actually removes the row, that allows you to remove the row, and then I can remove the null. So rather than randomly removing a row, I'm creating a logic that from this column, when there is a blank, remove it. I can either do this or I can do this. Both will work in exactly the same way. It removes the null from the column, and by doing it, it actually removes the entire record. Okay, now click OK. And as soon as you do it, it shows you a hard green line indicating that you don't have a missing value or a blank anymore. It also gives you this step in apply step, which also translates into a code, correct? And that also translates into a sample output. And when I will press close and apply, this code will actually run on the entire data set and remove the duplicates, or sorry, remove the blanks from the entire data set. Let's explore a few more options. Click on the View tab and click on Column Distribution. This is also an excellent option that informs us about a few characteristics of the dataset. And once we interpret this information correctly and quickly, this allows us to find problems too. Okay, let's consider this retailer type, right? It says it has 18 distinct and 11 unique. What do we call this? We also call this frequency distribution, right? We also call this frequency distribution. How do you interpret this? Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and even if you don't know, just give a wrong response. Let's say if I write Australia, let's say I write Pakistan, and then I write China, I write India. Okay, I have this small list. How many unique values do I have?
1.
4.
10, 1, 4. Type it in the chat. So make up your mind. Just give me one number. What do you say? 4? Nick says 2. Kushal says 6. Okay.
I would say 1.
1. Who says 1?
Myself, Osman.
1. Which one?
China is the only unique.
What about Pakistan?
Oh, yes, that's the other one. Sorry.
Okay, great. Okay. So 2, right? So your answer is, so 2 is the right answer. 4 is the number of distinct values. Okay. So I hope we can clarify. So 2, by unique, I mean the value has no duplicates. The value has no duplicates, which is this China and this Pakistan, right? These value has no duplicates, comes only once. That's your unique. And you can think of your number of distinct values as, if I remove the duplicates, how many values am I left with? If I remove the duplicate from the column, I'm left with 4. So that's your distinct. Okay, that's the definition. So based on this understanding, now you tell me what happens if my number of unique equals to number of distinct. How can I interpret if my number of unique values is equal to my number of distinct values? What do I mean by that?
It's a primary key.
Yes, correct. It will mean it becomes a unique identifier. In simple words, it becomes a column which does not have any duplicates. It becomes a unique identifier. It becomes a column which does not have any duplicates, right? So which is an excellent thing to know, because duplicate is one of the problem that you will need to keep your eye, you need to make sure it does not happen, especially in data modeling, because duplicate will cause problems in the relationship. Duplicate is a big part of the problem that happens that will create a problem in the data modeling. So this will allow you to understand that the duplicate does not exist, right? Now, in this case, specifically for retailer type, what does this 11 unique indicate? How do you interpret this information?
Considering it's category based, I'd say there's probably 11 errors, but you'd probably just want to look at them and then determine there might be an occasion where there would just be one response for that, but it's likely that there's 11 errors.
It is likely that it might be a problem, but it is definitely possible that those 11. So basically, it means that there are 11 retailer type values that only appears once in the data set. And you can say, well, that might not be true because we have these 4 or 5 categories and we have such a big data set that one value only comes once. It's unlikely scenario. It hints towards a data issue. And you exactly said it right, Nick, in a categorical column, right? Categorical column has few values. If you have just few values in that list, and suddenly you see a unique value, that can indicate a problem. So once we kind of see that this might be a problem, let's understand this in more detail. So I click on the column, and that's where I can go inside column profiling. click on the column and click on column profile. That allows you to dig deeper into the problem. Okay. And you can start to see the value, right? And you can see that within the data set, the most frequently occurring value is outdoor shop. But then when you scroll down, you see the values which are less frequent, and that's where your problems are. Because if someone is making a human error, it is less likely that it will be made for, it is repeated. If it is repeated, it's more of a systemic problem, but it will not be a human error. So now you can see all the data issues are consolidated in one place because they appear less frequently. Now, if you will scroll up, see this outdoor OD shop, which is more like an acronym. It is not unique. Someone has made this mistake twice, but because it occurs less frequently than the rest of the data set, your problems are consolidated in one single space.